Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Wow. That really needs to be shortened, because that is one long name. Anyways, Black Ops Cold War was released in 2020, riding off the success of Modern Warfare and the steaming pile of junk called Crap Ops 4. So, expectations were very mixed, especially when news came out that Treyarch was taking over Sledgehammer's game. That might explain why Crapguard was so bad. So, how did this end up? Let's look at each topic and figure out how stellar or how much of a piece of junk this game really is. So, I was there for the multiplayer beta on Xbox One, and to sum it up, it was a decent multiplayer experience. Not perfect, but a good one. And I wasn't suffering network issues like I was in Modern Warfare, which is shocking coming from my internet speed and the fact that this is a beta. But the beta doesn't always reflect the state of the full release, so I'm going to dive back into it and see how the multiplayer ended up after the beta and all of the updates. A game cannot be the most realistic thing possible without sacrificing the fun factor, but for some games like Call of Duty, the balance should fall more in the middle of fun and realistic. Modern Warfare did a pretty good job of doing that, and people like me who say Modern Warfare had the right balance were left a little bit behind with Black Ops Cold War with the more arcadey gameplay. When I play Black Ops Cold War, I noticed some very big differences between last year's game and this year's game. For one, the speed of sprinting just felt faster. It might not have been, but it felt a little unrealistically fast. Another thing that I find out of control is the height of walls that an operator can scale. Walls feel so high, and you can scale them with absolutely no problem. In Modern Warfare, you couldn't scale a shipping crate without something to help you get up. But in this game, Master Chief from Halo 5 was training people in the 80s on the art of scaling tall objects. This isn't inherently bad gameplay, okay? It can be good in many games, but for me, and maybe this time period for Call of Duty, the gameplay is too arcadey. Multiplayer maps are okay. Well, it's kind of complicated. I remember liking the maps that were offered at launch, but there were too many repeats of Cartel. It was very annoying. Most times, maps that were added were great, especially the remakes like Zoo and Nuketown. But the maps that are being offered now are mostly boring, or they are just downright bad. There are great maps in this game, but since there are no more updates that will add maps, and the playlists are basically set in stone, the matchmaking just stinks. Perks are alright. I feel like I rely on them more than I did in Black Ops, but less than Modern Warfare or Vanguard. They're not a priority when editing my loadouts. Guns and equipments are on the top of my list when editing. The field upgrades are now tied to a loadout and not the player as a whole, which often gets me confused in the middle of the game when I switch loadouts and now I have a different field upgrade. Score streaks return, but there is a twist. Instead of your score resetting when you die, you respawn with the same score as when you died. So score streaks have been raised and have cooldowns so they can't be abused. They're fun, but some score streaks feel unobtainable for the average player such as myself, who plays Call of Duty from time to time unless it's Modern Warfare. Larger battles make a return, but they're smaller lobbies than Modern Warfare, but they still feel like the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2. Large maps, not as large as Modern Warfare though, have vehicles that you can use to get around while fighting. You can even drive a motorcycle while shooting and reloading. It makes no sense, but you can do it, thus adding to the arcadey feel. I played a lot of different game types, but one I couldn't get a match for Actually, 2. I could not get a match for Fire Team. I remember it being bad, but I guess it was so bad that nobody is playing it. Not even one game could be found. Other game modes that I played are your traditional Call of Duty game types. There is even party game types, and I remember them being fun, but I didn't bother playing them for this review. What the multiplayer was before was decent fun, but what is left in is not great. It's not bad, it's just okay. I really hated Black Ops 4's zombies. I mean, I hated it. So I honestly did not expect much from this game. Let's find out if they improved the zombie formula from, honestly, a very low bar. When I first played it, I remember not liking it because it was too much like the multiplayer. The restrictive movement of the old was gone since Black Ops 2 Zombies and replaced with the fluid movement of the multiplayer. It felt far too easy now to play than other previous games. It sacrifices the scare factor of limited movement for chaotic fluid movement. Part of the horror from the game Resident Evil 2 Remastered is the limited movement and the tight spots you encounter. Perks were better dealt with than in Black Ops 4, but this time you could upgrade the perks. You could also upgrade the different weapon classes and other things by just playing the game and earning ether stuff. One thing that was improved for those who want to play for the story, and don't even get me started on the story, there are waypoints to help the player figure out what to do. Not everything is revealed in waypoints, but the stuff to get the plot going is. And this time around, it's not even hard to find the Pack-a-Punch. Another innovation is the fact that you can end a game without dying. Feeling bored and want to end it without dying? Well, call in a chopper and get out of there in one of the most epic ways possible. Typically, I buy a chopper gunner to easily clear the landing zone so I can leave. It feels satisfying to do that. Like I said earlier, I remember not liking this at first, but it has worn on me like Call of Duty Ghost has. The first map that was available was Die Maschine. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. What I don't like was that it was the first experience with zombies and it wasn't eerie or scary in any way. World at War, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2 had an eerie or scary map at launch. Now that I've spent a lot of time with it, I find it very fun to play. Nice, chaotic fun. Though I didn't get any footage of it, Dead Ops Arcade makes a return, and I have no interest in playing... Wait a minute. There's a first-person mode. I don't like the original Dead Ops because it was top-down and it felt mind-numbing. But in first-person mode, it makes everything feel very fun and way different to a level that I can't explain. The first DLC map we got was Firebase Z. When it first came out, all I remember hearing was how good it was. And to be honest, it is really good. It introduces teleporters and defense segments. It also contains a couple of great training spots. It is easy to learn and to play well on. Mauer der Toten was an okay map. It's not bad, but it's also not good. It starts off boring, but gets better over time. If you don't like spending 1 or 2 hours in a zombies game, don't play this map. I've had several bad experiences playing this with online players who wouldn't let it end. It's an okay map, but not one I want to grind on for 2 hours in the same game. Forsaken was the last standard round-based map that was added through DLC, and it is the best one in my opinion. It takes a campaign level and remakes it into a fluid and chaotic zombie map with very good training areas. It's easy to complete objectives, and it is just so good. Easily the best map. There was other DLC zombie content, and like Dead Ops, it was some wacky side piece of content. Let's start with the best one, Onslaught. There are variations of it that I have not played, but the standard Onslaught mode is very fun. It takes multiple multiplayer maps, and you can join up to one other player and fight waves of zombies. It does get boring after a little while because while the game forces you to move around to different parts of the multiplayer map, it's just the same thing. But you basically kill zombies in a particular area and then move on to another area. After 2 or 3 areas cleared, you fight a boss that gives you some loot to continue the fight. The other strange DLC is Outbreak. At first, I would have said that Outbreak is easily the best zombies content for the game, but now I think it's just an average, okay DLC zombies thing. So basically, you play on some multiplayer maps or new original maps, but they're big, open world-like maps. No, it's not quite Fallout 4, Marvel's Spider-Man, Ghost Recon Wildlands, or Anthem level of open world, but something like The Outer Worlds, where they're large but small open worlds to loot. You can complete side objectives that grant you some loot, and then there is also the main quest that will progress you to the next open world unless you want to exfil. At first, I liked it a whole lot, but I don't like it as much now because I find it boring to go looting across a wide open world and then also not being on the same page as the rest of my team to tackle the main objective. And some mistakes other players will make will affect you. What I do love about this mode is that vehicles like tanks, snowmobiles, boats, and other vehicles are available to use to get from one point of the map to the other.
What happened in the bunker, Will?
Modern Warfare's campaign was short, but what was there was great. Could Black Ops Cold War reach the high bar of Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2? Only one way to tell if it didn't fall as low as Crap Guard. Before diving into this campaign, I want to introduce you to the cast. Alex Mason, Frank Woods, and Jason Hudson make a return to the game as protagonists. But we have some interesting new characters like Lazar, the chilled out, between everywhere tough guy. Sims, who is just kinda there helping out with everything. Park, part of MI6 and is very mysterious. Adler, the leader of the pack and the man who looked like his face got reconstructed after fighting the goose from Untitled Goose Game. Lastly, of the protagonists, there is Belle, a human that apparently knows something about the plot. Next up, for the antagonists, returning is Kravchenko, one of the Russians from Black Ops. The new and important story-related character is Perseus, a real-life rumor put into a video game, and is more elusive than the elusive man from Mass Effect 2 and 3. The game starts off in a bar in 1981, where we first meet Russell Adler, and we are playing as Alex Mason. The vibe is like this neon rock and roll bar. It looks visually really good. We meet up with an informant, and then meet Woods in the back alley and pick up our gun. We sneak around and then open fire on some terrorists who are just chilling out and playing cards or something. We take our killing spree to the rooftops and eventually catch up with someone involved with somebody else who had taken hostages before this mission started. During this interrogation, we get the option to choose what we say, which is something that was lightly implemented in Modern Warfare. Yes, I know Black Ops 2 has a choose-your-own-story adventure, but it doesn't have any choice in dialogue. Based on your decisions, you can kill, capture, or release this guy. Upon selecting any dialogue option in this game, you do not hear anything. This game will continue to play out like your character said something, kind of like Fallout 3, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. How the dialogue options make any character silent is jarring when Alex Mason, who does speak, does not speak during the dialogue options. I would have been fine with Alex Mason being voiced during these parts, like the lone survivor from Fallout 4, but him not talking for a short part of the game just feels so off-putting. Then there's Belle, who you never hear at all, just dialogue options, which for their character makes sense, which I'll get to shortly. So, for my playthrough, I decided to apprehend the villain, and in doing so, I received some intel that I would have missed if I had thrown him off. Mason, Woods, and Adler all show up at an airfield where our target shows up, and we watch him shoot a couple of people in his ride with no context. After a failed attempt to kill him, we jump in a truck and hunt the man down. We go through an incredible over-the-top explosion and finally capture our guy. He spills some beans about Perseus before Adler puts a bullet in his head. We head out and go meet the legendary President of the United States of America. President Ronald Reagan allows a team to form containing Adler, Bell, Sims, Lazar, Park, Woods, and Mason, though Woods and Mason are very underused in this game. Hudson is a part of this team, but he almost never makes an appearance. Oh look, there's a red door. Before meeting our team, we must build our character, Belle, whom we will be playing as. You can pick the sex of the person, which is male, female, or non-binary. We can go into the political discussion of non-binary, and while I have my opinions on this topic, and no doubt this decision is probably inspired by wokeness, for what Black Ops is, it honestly fits in. Let me explain. Black Ops is about operations that would be blacked out on paper because they're missions that don't exist. Air quotations there. Keeping someone's identity confidential would be an important part of a mission, including their biological sex. So, in some scenes, when people are talking about Belle, they would say the proper pronouns according to what you choose here. Other things you can choose are the background of your character and special skills that affect your stats. The background will slightly change some things that are said. For example, if I choose MI6 background, and I ask Park about how she seems familiar to me, she will say this.
You and I. Now that I think about it, I'm sure I've seen your face around Sentry House once or twice before. But these days, I'm seldom in London.
If I pick something else and tell her she looks familiar, she will say this instead.
You and I. It's entirely possible. I have a long collaborative history with other intelligence services. Our paths have likely crossed at some point.
I'm sure there are other things that will change, but this is what I noticed. So, we meet our team and go through a memory exercise from Vietnam with Sims and Adler. We find a red door and find Russians. We learn a little bit about Perseus, and then go fly around and blow up half of the country just to get to a military base and grab a nuke. We're blown out of the sky and hold out until allies can save our butts. From the recount of Vietnam, we go to Berlin, Germany to find someone and deal with them. They have connections to Perseus, and Hudson knows something that we eventually find out, but hasn't said anything about. We go there, do a lot of sneaking, shoot a civilian, find an ally, get assaulted, and then assault our assaulters. It's not confusing. I decide to capture the man we were after for MI6, which Adler does not really like. We bring back a picture of a bomb that our target possessed. After that, Bell and Woods go to Ukraine and sneaks into a massive Soviet base. Things turn south and we get into a firefight. We find a computer that has some information that we are looking for. On this computer, we have 2 audio logs. One that brings some light to the picture of the bomb we found earlier, and the other was a conversation about an asset with no context. Turns out that Hudson knew of Project Greenlight and was okay with it. This project would kill people but save the infrastructure if Russia ever invaded Europe. The nukes were American made, but in Europe. This information doesn't go over well with the team when Woods, Mason, and Adler visit Hudson.
You knew the nuke was from Greenlight, didn't tell us! What else are you hiding? Maybe I can knock the truth out of you.
You might want to rethink that, Woods.
Mason and Woods go back to a place that Hudson visited in Black Ops because there is a mainframe with a list of names of sleeper agents from Dragovich's experiments, but we don't know that until we steal it. It was cool to see this level because it was a callback to the first game, especially when you find a key that opens up a locker with a picture of Steiner. Numbers play throwing back to show that Mason still has a little brainwashing still in his mind. We make a daring escape from this snow-ridden place while riding on top of the mainframe. One critique of this mission is that it doesn't seem to replicate certain spots that Hudson visited in Black Ops. It seems off to me. We get the mainframe back, but all the names of sleeper agents are not on it. And we gotta go to the KGB headquarters to get the list of sleeper agent names. At this point, I derailed from the main story missions to tackle some side missions. In order to do the side missions and get the best of the best endings, you need to solve a puzzle. I hate puzzles in video games. It took the serious help of my friends to get me through Portal 2. These missions were alright. They take some multiplayer maps and slap some campaign paint on them. I can't complain about the gameplay, but I will complain about the puzzles, because I'm not good at them and I hate puzzles. I haven't completed one yet. So, after I finished up the side missions, I got back to the main plot, and as an inside man in the KGB headquarters, Belikov, I run into Kravchenko, and what? Imram Zakhaev? We are dabbling into the Modern Warfare trilogy or the Modern Warfare reboot territory. But anyways, we run into these 2 Russians at a board meeting to see what we are going to do about the Medal of Valor review. However, our discussion ends up leading me having to figure out how to steal a bunker key card. I was sent out into the vast open world of a tiny portion of a large place, like the Groundbreaker from the Outer Worlds. You can literally get this key card in several different fashions. You can poison the only general who has a key card with Nova 6. You can get a prisoner to kill him. You can make your own. And I think you have 1 or 2 other alternative ways to do this. And it is really cool that you have this kind of freedom in a Call of Duty game. And the last time we saw something even close to this, which didn't do it like this, was Black Ops 2. This mission, while not the exact replica, reminds me of Call of Duty World War II and Infinite Warfare for some of their missions. Anyways, after getting a key card for the bunker, he can get Adler and Bell, who are going to get the list of sleeper agent names. They get stopped and almost caught, but Belikov saves their butts. We have an awkward conversation with Zakhaev, but we successfully make him so uncomfortable when I told him that Anthem was my favorite game ever, and he got off the elevator. I think that is really funny and awesome that if the player so chooses at any time, we can knock him out. We get into a gunfight and retrieve the sleeper agent names, which one is from Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, used to go to church there. We try to leave, but run into Belikov, who is captured. We rescue him, and no rushing our way out of there like Modern Warfare 2. No. Not Modern Warfare 2, but Modern Warfare 2. Let's get that straight. Wow. Black Ops Cold War is really impeding Modern Warfare territory now. Lazar saves us, and we shoot our way through the streets. Fantastic. When we get back and uncover the names of sleeper agents, and we find out that one of the names is tied to Project Greenlight, and they're a scientist that we think could detonate the missing nuke, we go into Cuba, where we think Perseus is, along with the sleeper agent who will be helping him activate the nuke. We assault this mansion and find no nuke, but dead scientists, except for the one who conveniently died after telling us that Perseus could detonate every Greenlight nuke in Europe, and blame the United States because it's their nukes. We try and leave while getting assaulted. And just before the plane comes over to get us, an RPG hits. And Bell awakes to find Park and Lazar unable to secure themselves to a line that a plane will catch to get us out of there. You must choose. Save Park, Lazar, or be a sociopath and let them both die. The playthrough I did, I saved Park. What a simp I am. Bell awakens and is being taken to the safe house, into the room that you never got to visit. And you get stabbed in the eye by Adler, who makes you get Vietnam flashbacks. Well, memories, but flashback sounds worse. Before it begins, Perseus's voice plays in Bell's mind, saying not to trust Adler.
He is lying to you. He is lying to you. Adler.
Instead of Bell telling his story in Vietnam, Adler tells the story. But Bell has the ability to listen to or defy Adler. No matter what, though, you play through the same thing, but it gets different each time and wackier. I find it crazy that your actions and what you see, Adler will comment on. In this adventure, you find zombies, lots of red doors, Russians, Adlers, and so on. Eventually, one of the red doors takes you to a lab, and in this lab, it gets super trippy. Things get small, and red doors show up. Things go berserk, but eventually, you find the one single red door that unlocks a memory deep inside of Bell, and learns about the location of where Perseus is. When you come back around into the real world, Adler, Park, and Bell have a conversation. Turns out Bell was never in real Vietnam, but he was a Perseus agent who was shot by the first target at the beginning of the game. The CIA implanted a fake identity and memories into Bell. No matter what you say, all options come down to two decisions. Tell the truth of the location of Perseus, or lie. Tell the truth, you go to where Perseus is and stop him with Adler, Mason, and Woods. After stopping Perseus, our decisions in the game are summed up in a cutscene, and then Adler and Bell try to blow each other away. If you lie, then you have the option to warn Perseus if you figured out how to get into a locked-off part of the safe house. In this ending, you can kill the team member you saved, so for me, Park, and then Mason and Woods. You can chase down Adler with Perseus, and you can either shoot him, which Perseus would like, or you can light his cigarette, but wind up stabbing him in the chest. In blowing the nukes, Perseus also reveals that not even he alone could accomplish what was done, and that Perseus is a group, not an individual. After that, Hudson burns down the safe house, and your decisions are summed up in a cutscene. Wow, this campaign was great, and I hope Modern Warfare takes some pages from this campaign if it works. If not, it's totally fine. While this game has branching paths, very few decisions made actually matter. Going silent or loud will only change minor dialogue. Collecting evidence and doing puzzles. I hate puzzles. I hate you, Poppy Playtime. Anyways, doing puzzles and collecting evidence doesn't really matter. It will bring a better ending if you take your time and do everything right, but that is boiled down in a cutscene. Some decisions you make may affect the rest of the level, but it doesn't matter in the long run. Only two choices matter. First, if you choose to tell the team where Perseus is really located, and second, if you lied about Perseus's location, you can warn Perseus. Taking the extra step to really look isn't satisfying, and just playing the game like any other Call of Duty game is rewarding enough. The plot twist about Bell being a former Perseus operator was really cool. In my first playthrough, I didn't notice all the signs until I was making this video. Adler on a phone call about the memory exercise, all the talk about an unnamed asset, lots of talk about Bell in the memory exercise, red doors at the beginning of the game. It makes me think about how much I missed in my first playthrough that would have led me to conclude that I am a brainwashed Soviet agent before the game tells me that. This was basically a similar plot twist to that of Black Ops, but with an extra layer of complexity. While stealth existed, it was too easy to get around without killing someone. If someone didn't want to kill someone, it should have been harder. What I do appreciate about stealth is that most of the time you are not punished with a failure if you break stealth. You can shoot your way out at any time. One of my favorite additions to the game was how melee is dealt with. If you simply do the melee action, you can kill an enemy with a really awesome looking animation, unless it's the one where you look like you're smacking somebody around. I believe that Modern Warfare's campaign had this, but they were very hard to do. The second thing you could do is grab an enemy and use them as a meat shield, kind of like how Ava likes to use me as a meat shield in Star Wars The Old Republic. If you get bored with your meat shield, then you can attach a live grenade and toss them at the enemy. But honestly, that is more likely to kill you than the enemy because of level geometry. Okay, so originally I was going to play this on PC so I could show off the FPS at maxed out settings on RTX 3060 Ti. But the frame rate was so inconsistent and downright low. I even dropped the graphics settings and it still runs it like a GPU from 10 years ago. Some of you might say, well, you should have waited for the shader pack to download. I did, and it still runs like junk. The game is very unoptimized for PC. I even noticed some frame rate drops during non-demanding parts of the campaign on the Series X. Zombies and multiplayer on PC are slightly better, but not by much. Somebody help me. I also noticed on PC that when a level loads, you can run around, but the screen is very dark. I don't know what is happening here, but the game doesn't progress until it finishes loading or something. I have no idea what's going on. I remember at launch on the Xbox One X, pre-rendered cutscenes would melt, have low frame rates, and the audio would become desynced with what is happening on the screen. Since then, that has been solved. One glitch that I ran into that is no longer on Xbox, but I guess it's still on PC, is when you get into the truck when chasing down a cargo plane, the game will freak out and will glitch rapidly between standing and crouching on the bed of the truck, throwing off some of the scripted animations. I've been telling my friends that games on Xbox and PlayStation for the big AAA games are supported more than they are on PC. And this game is proof of it. Somebody has got to fix this game. It's busted on PC, and at least for the Xbox Series X, it does possess some glitches, but not as bad as PC. Games like Vanguard and Modern Warfare run better on my PC at maxed out graphics than this game. Now, there is one. I don't know if I should call it a glitch, but it was definitely an oversight that I hope never gets fixed because it's too funny. During the campaign, the part where you place the wife of one of the people tied to Perseus on the couch, the TV light shows the outline of what the player really looks like. Get a load of this. The multiplayer has some serious bugs, but I remember this running better on the Xbox One X than the Series X. There are plenty of frame rate drops in a competitive, real-world first-person shooter game that depends on quick reaction. The sky is screwed up when watching kill cams, and so are the textures. I don't think anyone is even working on this game anymore. It feels just as bad as Black Ops 4 because both feel like they're being held together by duct tape. The store in the game isn't much different from what Modern Warfare and Vanguard offered. Since the game doesn't charge money for DLC maps for the multiplayer and zombies, they monetize the game by charging you money for cosmetics and bundles. Most bundles of cosmetics take COD points to purchase, which come from real money or the Battle Pass, but some bundles include a traditional bundle and COD points. In those bundles, you basically are paying for the Call of Duty points and getting the cosmetics as extras. Those are the bundles that are the most worth it. Cross progression works in two ways. First way is from game to game, your level progression and battle pass progression saves. The second way, and in my opinion, the more important way, your progress on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation will transfer from platform to platform. Even the old generation and next generation versions of the game do this. Very little does not transfer from platform to platform. When Black Ops Cold War was the newest Call of Duty game, it had Black Ops Cold War and Warzone rewards. Due to cross-progression, you could play Modern Warfare or Black Ops Cold War and still be advancing the same Battle Pass. Now that Vanguard is out, the Battle Pass rewards go towards that game and Warzone. But it's cool that you don't have to suffer Vanguard's game to earn stupid rewards from the Battle Pass. Strange thing, though, that Modern Warfare didn't do, something that I very much appreciate, is that many of the rewards from Black Ops Cold War's Battle Passes can be bought in the store. This way, new players can unlock content that they never got to experience. Modern Warfare pretty much inspired the operators for this game, because a lot is the same. You can select an operator that might have challenges to earn additional cosmetics. They have quips and finishers. All nice stuff. One nitpick about the operators, though, is not the operators themselves, but when you go to preview a skin, you can't look up and down an operator to see all the hard work that the devs put into them. I do have one bigger problem that Vanguard really falls hard into, and that is the type of skins that are in the game. For example, Captain Price. What is he doing in here? If we're going off of the 2019 reboot, then Captain Price would not be in the service yet, all the way in the 80s. If we're going off of Captain Price, that is hinted at in Black Ops 2, if I'm remembering correctly, then why is he in this game when Black Ops Cold War ties into the reboot of Modern Warfare? He's not a pre-order bonus like Woods was, so I'm really confused right now as to why his appearance is in this game. Another problem I have with the game is some of the trippy skins that really don't fit in with the time period or the tone of the game. If you pre-ordered Vanguard, you got two different skins. One was Arthur Kingsley, which I have no problem with, and some burning skull in a Vietnam 80s-like outfit, I think. I don't even know. I don't think that this is zombies based on the clothes, and this doesn't fit in with the story being told in the campaign or multiplayer. Then there's Judge Dredd. I don't know much about him, but I thought he was a futuristic executioner, not an 80s modern action hero. The guy was created in 1977 and had its first movie in 1995. Can someone explain to me why he is in this game? This is just as bad as Vanguard with the Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, and King Kong skins. Now they're adding two Terminator operators. The characters they're making skins for are from the 90s, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. That is about 50 years after World War II. Why am I ranting about Vanguard in a Black Ops Cold War review? Also, I was excited to get some Alex Mason operator skins, but the Season 6 rewards left me feeling sadder than Dom after he put his wife out of her misery in Gears of War 2. This is because the operator skins had weird colors going across the character model. I was expecting a down-to-earth skin that was simply Mason in snow gear, not some other dimension. I will say, though, that it was really cool to see John McClane and Rambo make an appearance because they were actually 80s movie heroes. As I said before, a lot remained the same from 2019's Call of Duty to 2020, but the outrageous skins did ramp up a whole lot, which really turned me away from liking the skins I earned, and the store in general. There are plenty of good skins, but a lot just take me out of the immersion of the game and its setting. So, this is the part where I give the game a rating out of 10 and a little summary. This is going to be hard because one version of the game is basically unplayable. You know what? I'll just go off of the most stable version for this. So, the campaign story was very fun. Not the best campaign in Call of Duty's line of games, but it's worth the time and money. It does suffer from inconsistent frame rates, and when it launched, cutscenes were broken. At this time, though, cutscenes work. Zombies were decent, but doesn't come close to what it was in terms of identity. Multiplayer is okay. It launched a little rough, got better, and now it's in a state that's just okay because of the map selection and the fact that some playlists are impossible to matchmake anymore because of how bad or confusing it is. So, overall, I give this game a 7 out of 10. It was okay, it had its problems. If it wasn't for the technical issues that it had and currently has, it could earn a point back. Parts are a must-play, and parts are a take-it-or-leave-it thing. Easily the best part is the campaign. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to embark on a Black Ops-like mission, then I've got one for you. What I need you to do is to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment. If you want to take the mission a step further and go above and beyond the Call of Duty, then become a member for only 99 cents a month. Have a wonderful day. God bless. This is Skippy Skip, skipping on out of here.